flex. All right. Kia ora, everybody. Welcome to another wonderful live by Whānau Āwhina Plunket. My name is Rose Haskell, and I run the community services for Whānau Āwhina Plunket here in the region of Taranaki. Today, tomorrow and Sunday is the Big Latch-On 2023. So to nod the occasion, I am here with Tracey, who is one of our lactation consultants, just to go through all things breastfeeding, talk about the Big Latch-On and how everything is going in the breastfeeding lactation consultant world for her and her team. So Tracey, welcome. How are you, my love?
Kia ora, kia ora. Nice to see you again, Rose.
Nice to see you
I've
too.
got
It's
a friend
been like
here
8
today.
months.
He's not very small. He came to the Latch-On with us this morning.
Oh, actually, I've got my big bear. I should have put my big bear. He's sitting on my couch over there. I should have put him next, and then they could have had some conversations in the background with us. Very nice.
Kia ora whānau. I'm Tracey. Yeah, I'm a Plunket line lactation consultant, and I work as a Plunket nurse as well. So every day I kōrero with women around Aotearoa about all things breastfeeding, but today is about the Big Latch-On. So I've just come from an event that we hosted here in Tauranga. We were down at Fraser Cove in the Rangiora Centre, and we had 55 people come to our Latch-On. So we were really pleased with that, and 27 babies who latched on. Yeah. So the Latch-On is an annual event. It's national and then it's international. The reason it's national today is because Breastfeeding Week's in August and it's cold in Aotearoa in August. And so they decided to move it to April, where it's a bit warmer. So the Women's Health Action Group created the Big Latch-On, and once a year, every year, we encourage people to host events, and we encourage women, whānau, supporters, people who breastfeed, people who mix feed, people who wanted to breastfeed or breastfeed some time ago to come along. And at 11 o'clock, we all latched on. Well, everybody latched on their babies. And then we send our count into the organisers, and they can say how many mums around Aotearoa latch their babies on at the same time, and then how many mums around the whole world latch their babies on. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, in Taranaki here, we were at an organisation called Flourish, which is around the vicinity of our racecourse. There must have been about 30 of us there. So yeah, we had such a good time eating and having our nice cup of coffee and being together with all of our little babies. That's awesome. And so just to confirm, the Big Latch-On has taken place in April, just while the cold and flu season isn't in full swing. But will World Breastfeeding Week still be taking place at that time? What's happening with
Yep. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, during Breastfeeding Week, there'll be other events around the world. And we had moko stencils. This isn't my taumoko part of our Latch-On. We had spot prizes and finger painting and and face painting and moko stencils. So I was a test subject before the kids came.
Oh, very nice. Yes, actually, when you first jumped onto the live, I thought, oh, she's got a beautiful new moko. It looks beautiful and so glittery as well, eh?
Very glittery, yes.
All right, so today we're here to talk about a topic we get lots of questions on, which is breastfeeding. So shall we jump into our pātai, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, shall we talk about the Zoom service?
The Zoom service, sure thing. So you are a VCLC, which is a virtual lactation consultant for Plunket Line. And we had a beautiful media release come out yesterday, just in time for Big Latch-On, where in the past year, the team of 6 specialist breastfeeding lactation consultants has provided more than 1,300 one-on-one support sessions, which people access through Plunket Line, the number being 0800 933 922. Now, we've got some really good news coming out of that space. Tracey, you want to let us know what's happening there?
Yeah, so te whatu ora. So there are 6 of us and just a couple of us who do the VC service. So that's every day of the week and a callback service as well. So sometimes it's over Zoom and sometimes it's a phone call from a lactation consultant. And so Te Whatu Ora have given us some more funding. So we're going to be able to train more staff to be lactation consultants, and we'll be able to take more calls and do more Zoom calls in the coming future. So that's really exciting. It's a very popular service. It's really hard. You want to be booked in quickly, and sometimes it's hard to do that. So the more we have on, then the more mama we can see and the more mama we can help. So it's really exciting.
More widespread and efficient service for everyone. So that is awesome to hear. And one of the big reminders that I do want to put out to everybody who's watching and beyond is that this service isn't just for clients who are signed up with a Plunket nurse. You can call no matter who your well child tamariki order provider is. So please do so. And if you do have any further questions about the service, feel free to send us a message and we'll point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
All right. Question time. Hey, I really want to start with just probably the most basic of all basic questions around breastfeeding. And that's, why is it so important? Why is breastfeeding important, Tracey?
So breastfeeding, well, it's human milk made by humans for humans. And so, you can't get any more, perfect nutrition than that. Our bodies, when our baby latches on, or when we kiss our babies or hold our babies against our skin, there's lots of communication between our body and our baby's body and our body, and it tells our body what the baby needs. It can pick up how old the baby is, whether it's a hot day or a cold day, whether there's cold in the air, viruses in the air, whether it's nighttime or daytime. So we're passing through hormones, we're passing through pre and probiotics. What does this baby need to set up their gut system for a good immune system? What bugs are in the air? Oh, look, mum's been exposed to this. I've been exposed to this. So then mum's body goes, okay, I'll put my big marching immune system on and I'll put it in my milk. And so that I can pass it on to my baby, and my baby, who's got their own little immune system that's not quite strong enough yet, and so there's that real communication between mum and baby, and that bonding that the hormone releases between both. It's free, it's available 24/7, so it's not easy. That's probably the hardest thing, is that it doesn't come with a perfect, it sounds like a perfect system, and it's not. And so that's why mama need lots of help to get there, and whatever their feeding journey they want to go down.
Yeah, it's such a perfect form of communication, isn't it? It's awesome.
It is.
So magical. Let's have a chat about some of the constraints and the complications that come with breastfeeding, starting with biting. So any tips, tricks, advice around if baby is biting at the breast?
Yep. So often that's older babies. Some young babies clamp down. So if a young baby's biting or clamping their gums down, it could be because they have just gone to sleep, and so they have closed their mouth. Or it could be that the flow's really fast, so they're kind of kinking the hose, like it sprays in their face, so they kink it by closing their gums down. And sometimes it's other reasons, like babies are really clever, even young babies, if they want it to come faster, they will bang with their hands on the breast. They will, clamp down and pull to try and get the milk to come faster. So really understanding why your baby is clamping down is really a key to help stop it. So if it's at the end of the feed because they're sleepy, then it would be taking them off before they get to that point. If it's because they're too fast, then giving them the space to come off, so that they come off rather than clamp down. And if it's coming too slow, then maybe adding some breast compressions or swapping sides a little bit more often can help. For an older baby, it could be because of teething pain. So sometimes just managing the teething pain, before you breastfeed can help by giving them something cold to suck on or whatever they need, and then popping them to the breast. But when an older baby bites with teeth, and so it's starting to hurt, it's about trying to predict it. When does it tend to happen? When they make this certain facial expression, or when they're at the finish, or when they're at the end, or before they do that. And so it's about taking them off and talking to them young babies, even really young babies, that communication we do with our bodies, so ouch, it's mummy, and they'll be able to see that concern and pain in your face and receive that as a message. They often
something that you don't enjoy.
No.
Very good. And just in terms of so if it's happening and the feed's not necessarily done, is there anything that our mama can do to stop that from happening in the moment, but get them back on to breastfeed? Is there any tip or trick around getting them off, putting them back on, that sort of thing?
Yep. So I would say give them a break. If they've bitten you, we're going to stop and then deal, if it's an older baby, talk to them about it, or, show them that it's too sore and that you have to stop, because babies do learn that. Wait a little while and then go again. But if it's a repeated pattern, sometimes it's because babies giggle, and then because babies giggle, we giggle back, or we smile at them. So we've shown them that we're in pain, and then they're like, "Don't be sad, Mum. I'm cute." And we go, "Oh, you are cute." Kind of like, "Okay, I forgive you." So then, but we have to keep a strong face and say, "No, that hurt," even though they're smiling. Because otherwise you can get into that habit of, I can make mummy laugh, I bite, she does this funny face, and then we laugh about it. So it's just about that communication.
That's right. It turns into a bit of a game for sure. And I guess because we've got them learning the empathy, which is, oh, mummy's expressing pain, I better not do that. But then mummy laughs at the same time. It's like, oh no, it's fine, this makes her laugh. So I totally hear what you're saying. Is there a way, if they are doing their they bite and they laugh at the same time, you can't quite get them off? Is there a safe and comfortable way that you can delatch them in that situation?
So you could put your little finger in if you can and take them off that way, or if you show them and go because they copy you. So a younger baby, if they're clamping down, you can open your mouth. I tell you what often happens is that it gives mum such a fright, because it hurts a lot. I've been there. And you're kind of like and you get such a fright that you literally just take the baby off yourself, and then the baby gets such a fright themselves that some of them won't do it again.
Absolutely. Very good. Another common problem when it comes to the breastfeeding journey is sore nipples. So can we talk about nipple pain and common causes and ways to alleviate nipple pain?
So the most common cause of nipple pain in the very first couple of weeks is just that natural process where your breasts are rapidly changing shape. Your breasts have lots of nerve endings. Like before we had babies, we knew that our breasts and nipples were sensitive. You go out into the cold air, you feel it. And around all our hormonal times of the month, we have sensitive in our breasts and nipples. And so when a baby first starts latching on and your breasts are going from not making milk or making small amounts of colostrum to making big volumes of milk, they have to stretch, and all of the nerves have to get used to all of those changes and that repetitive kind of, attachment. And every baby's mouth and every mum's nipple is a bit different, and they know they need to meet, but the puzzle pieces don't often fit perfect to start with. So it's that friction between when they're first meeting and learning how to become the perfect puzzle piece that causes that initial pain, and often grazing and damage. So that kind of pain just gets better and better with time and with practice and with good latching support on the outside. Longer term, after that, when the nipples are coming out squashed, a different shape, or you're starting to get some deep cuts and crevices, then that's usually an indicator that we could try and help correct. We can't do too much on what's going on with the baby's shape of mouth and things like that. We have to give that time, but we can help on the outside with certain positioning and latching, and sometimes just some really subtle movements that I help mama with on the thing, I'm like, just turn her bottom just that way a little bit, that way, and then that pain eases off. So just trying to fit on the outside helps to change the tension on the inside, which stops that squashing, squashes that damage. Because if you squash a nipple over and over again, it's like squashing your little finger. It hurts because when you let go, all the blood, all the nerve supply rushes back. And so, you get pain. So often that positioning and latching, and if we do have some deep damage, some good wound healing.
Fantastic. And that's really nice. Can you hear my kids in the background? They're playing.
Okay.
Can you hear them? Oh, sorry if it's disruptive. I said, don't come in this room for an hour. So they're in the next room cracking up laughing.
It's good. It's school holidays. We're all mama here.
I just wanted to bust that out just to acknowledge that it's happening behind me. The sore nipples, when I'm out in the community and I speak to breastfeeding mama and even speaking to their husbands about that plight of sore nipples, and there are some mama who are like, I think it's going to fall off. So what you've said is really nice, and I just want to reiterate that to anybody who's watching, is that if you are going through that pain and that discomfort, there are things that a lactation consultant can do just to help alleviate the issue by changing positions, because as you've just said, we can't change the dynamic in Bub's mouth, we can't change whatever it is they're doing, but what we can do is just remedy with different positions, that sort of thing. So that's a really nice way to give anyone who's struggling some hope that it doesn't all end with the pain. That's awesome. Helping to heal sore, excuse me, I've got my questions here if anyone wants to know why I'm playing on my phone during a live. Helping to heal sore and cracked nipples. Tell us about ways that we can alleviate sore and cracked nipples.
Yeah. Well, the good news is the nipple surface itself, it's got a lot of real complex, skin flora, which is those magical kind of bacteria that keeps it clean and safe. And our breast milk ourselves has lots of antibody properties as well. So the nipple itself is actually quite good at healing itself. The tricky part is that repetitive, you repeatedly kind of come the wrong way. You're kind of always opening up the wound. I always say, like, if anywhere else in our body, like if I cut my elbow open, I would, clean it, patch it, and let it heal. When it's your nipple, you're constantly putting a baby to that nipple. So helping with the latch is really important. And sometimes that means taking a little break from breastfeeding and doing bits as well. But just there's no magic ointment or anything that works. Just some good cleaning, changing your nipple pads if you do particularly have quite a deep crevice. And there are some nipple balms out there with some natural skin healing properties, and I always say to mama, if someone says it's worked for them, it's worth a try,
Always.
But just it's just about getting that latch good and just protecting that area from pain and from further damage. With those really, I have helped women who've got quite deep chunks out of their nipples. And so for that, it is a bit more specialist, and we do use sometimes a steroid ointment and a special, very expensive dressing that we can pop on it to help it heal. And if there's an infection, if there's a non-healing wound, even though the latch is good, then we have to suspect infection. And so that's where a nice skin swab at the doctor is a good idea, to just see if there is a bacterial infection.
And if a breastfeeding mama needed to take some painkillers, can you chat with us about the safety of painkillers in that area?
So the way I always talk to this about mamas, if you picture in the hospital a mum that's had an emergency cesarean, and then so we've given her anesthetic, we've given her anti-nausea, we give them morphine after their anesthetic, after their surgery
procedure.
Yep. So the first 3 days they have morphine, they have tramadol, they have regular paracetamol and ibuprofen, and that's for a routine Caesar. if there's other complications, there's many other medications we give, and we always get their babies to breastfeed. There's not many medications that we go into baby's milk. Your body, your breast milk's made from your blood. And so as your body is circulating that medication, or, alcohol's one that mums ask me about all the time, as it's circulating around, your body is cleansing it. So it's not like the medication dosage goes into your milk and sits there. Some medications move into the milk easily. Most of them don't. So they just get a really small amount, but your body's constantly cleansing them anyway. So the only time we have caution about medications when they are sedative and you've got a precious baby, one that's very early, one that's maybe has some heart or respiratory issues, then we're very risk averse. So anything that's sedating. Some mamas, they take medication to help them make milk, and some mamas need pain relief. So pain relief is okay to take.
Cool. That's good. That's good to know. We've just got a comment come through the page just now. So thank you, Ashley, for your question. Let's get into it now. I found in the early days with sore cracked nipples was air, especially after having a shower. Lay on the bed on a towel with no top on. So that's quite a nice natural way to expose the nipples to something a little bit more natural as well. Have you got any extra comments or advice around healing with just air, nothing else, just air drying?
Yeah, Ashley, in the really early days, those grazed cracked nipples, the air can be a big relief to them. So definitely. And a lot of mama, I hear you say, some even out in the on their bed or out in the sun, just letting the sun on their nipples is really healing as well. So the only time we don't recommend air drying is when you've got chronic pain, which is when your nipples are really sensitive to the air hitting them in between feeds. So air drying, great in the early days, definitely.
Nice. I just want to go on to another question about how much is enough. Is my baby getting enough breast milk? Can you bring us on a bit of a journey, talking points around how we know that our baby's getting enough?
Yeah, and that's hard, isn't it? Like with bottles and with formula and with, expressing and bottle feeding, we kind of have the satisfaction of seeing how much goes in, whereas
measurements.
There's no, I sometimes wish there was like a dial on there for mums to sort of see how much sort of shows. And the thing is, not everyone's created the same, is created equally. So some mamas have big milk capacities and some babies need a bigger milk capacity, and others have medium and others have a small and feed more frequently. So really when a baby is exclusively breastfed and we want to know that they're having enough, we're looking at their behavior at the breast, and that's learnt not only between mum and baby, especially in the first couple of weeks, but mum, baby and their support people picking up on whether baby's crying because they're hungry or for another reason. And then so their behavior at the breast, like babies, as I said, they tug if they're hungry and it's not flowing. They come off if it's flowing too fast. So we look at the behavior at the breast. And then, of course, their nappies, what's going in has to come out. So if we've got lots of good wet nappies, lots of tekor, beautiful yellow tekor, in the early days, and then later on, sometimes they space out the tekor. So as long as the mummy's good, and then, when they've got their poos, it's nice and runny. And then, of course, their growth. So we measure them quite early, quite often in the early days. And then after 6 weeks, we start to measure them a little bit further apart. And the reason for that is because breast milk and formula are a bit different after 6 weeks. So at 6 weeks, your body goes, all right, we've got 1 baby or 2 babies or sometimes 3 babies. And each baby needs about this amount. And that's somewhere between 750 mils and 950 mils, 1,000 mils total a day. So 1 baby will take that smallest amount. 1 baby will take that biggest amount, and most kind of in between. And now after 6 weeks, your body doesn't keep making more and more milk as you go on. So if your baby at 6 weeks is exclusively breastfed and has 850 mils a day, then when that baby is 5 months and 4 weeks and however many kilos heavier, they will have 850 mils of breast milk a day. And that's because breast milk changes. The volume stays the same, but the ingredients list changes. So formula is a little bit different. The ingredient list is the same. And so as a baby grows, they need higher calories and sort of a few variations in the ingredient list. Yeah. So, that changes. The volume goes up and up and up and up. But it feels confusing sometimes for mum where they feel like their baby's maybe not feeding as much, but they actually just take the same volume of breast milk. But when they're formulated, they need to keep going up and up and up a little bit.
Yeah, good signs to know that Bub's getting enough breast milk, especially if we've got good output, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, you just as you answered that question, you touched on behaviours at the breast. So let's have a chat about if a baby is fussy on the breast, say a 3-month-old, baby's getting a bit fussy on the breast. What can mum do about that?
Yeah. So one of the most common things I say, this is what I do on my room. I have all these little things around me. So I have a baby here. So what I commonly see at around the 3-month mark is when that babies get a little bit fussy, when mamas are still trying to latch like this. So what we do, we have, we're going like this and trying to latch this way. So after 3 months, a baby has learnt about how to go on, where it feels comfortable, when it's coming too fast, they change this. I like my hand here. I like my bottom here. I like this. A 3-month-old knows a little bit more. So they want to drive a little bit more. And so what I see is mums are trying to we're just saying, here you go, I'll help you. And the baby's saying, I can do it. I can do it. Let me do it. So I see that communication. Yeah. And so what I say is, just see what she does if you just leave it for it. And it's a bit freaky for mums sometimes because they're nervous it's going to hurt again. Yeah. But they just let their baby go on and do it, and they go, oh yeah, she's on.
Yeah. Say, Mum, I got this. I told you I got this, Mum.
Yeah. And baby's like, yeah, I'm good. I've got this. So often at 3 months, babies like to drive. They like to do it themselves. So, just giving your baby the space to do it themselves. Another common reason for fussiness at 3 months is that their world just kind of opened up a little bit. So before they were, it was like all about kōrero and, talking back and forth. But now your baby's like, oh, what's over there? So they'll be feeding and then they'll be like, no, I want to look over there. I want to see what's going on over there for a little bit. So you get kind of this, that's when the distraction comes off, or they go, come off, have a chat, go on, come off, have a chat, go on. Yeah.
There is, I totally hear what you're saying as well, that there is that certain level of trust that babies, they don't know much, but they're really good with instincts. So I remember, I'm just speaking for myself, when my children were first born, they seemed to just know that that's where they should go and that's what they should do. And just the same instinct that told them, cool, just go and find this thing. And as they get older, they then realize, actually, no, I can do different things. I need you, but I don't need you. So just wait. And then there's that evolution of trust between the mum and the baby, that the baby can definitely take part in that process and changing and switching and getting themselves comfortable as well. And yes, then we got our old eyes around listening and hearing and watching what's going around, and then you get the so it's a beautiful evolution of development in the relationship. Niplash. writing that down. I got my notebook right here, Nitplash. I just want to say a big hello to Isis, and Isis has just come up with a bit of a tip around dipping breasts in salt water, and I can kind of see the relevance to that, because if you've got an ulcer or something happening with your dental health, gargling salt water is a really good way to sterilize, for lack of a better term, the area. What do you say to that? Do you think that's something that's helpful for people in terms of nipple health, keeping that area clean?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And in the hospital, we clean wounds with salt water. And so, that's where that kind of comes from, using a little bit of salty water or saline, normal saline is what we clean wounds with. I think the reason why we kind of came away from using salty water so much is that when you think about saline, it's 0.9% sodium. So literally a couple of grains of salt in a big amount of water to make saline, whereas when we told people to do it with salt water, the concentration of salt is much higher. And so it's good, but at the same time, salt water can dry things out. So if you've got a wound that's healing and you're soaking it in really salty water, then the wound will become quite dry and could be a bit itchy and sore. So that's where we started just saying, just warm water. But definitely if you're going to use salty water, then it's just literally water with like a little pinch of salt. And then you've got your normal saline, which is what we use to spray into babies' noses and clean wounds, and even give in IV fluids.
Yeah. Excellent. Just want to mihi Emmeline. Hi, Emmeline, and your beautiful 3-week-old. We hope that your journey's going well so far. Did you do anything for Big Latch-On this morning? Let us know what you got up to in the comments.
Yeah, if you could take a breastfeed, they call it, breastfeeding lecture.
Hashtag breastfeed.
Yeah.
What a beautiful partai from Twyla. I heard when your milk got stuck, that's pretty painful. How do you treat for that? So I'm guessing we're talking mastitis here.
Kia ora, Twyla. That's a really great question, a really common one. Just to have a little inside look into your breasts, the places where the milk is made looks like a big bunch of grapes, and we all have different amounts of bunches of grapes, and we all have different sizes of grapes and things like that. So you picture the grape, that's where the milk fills up. It gets full and empty. And if you picture all the little vines, that's those very fine lines where the milk drains through and then right down the stalk and out the nipple into a little pore. So you can imagine that if you've got 3 bunches of grapes in your breast around there, and in one of those bunches, one of those little vines has got a little blockage in it, or it's a little bit sticky, whether from being too engorged or being pressed on in a funny way, or just being way too engorged, overfill. Then what happens when your body has a letdown, when your baby comes on and says to your body, let the milk down. So your body says, send the milk, and the muscles squeeze around each grape, and then each grape starts to empty down that vine. So when it hits that sticky point, or if it's completely blocked and it can't go anywhere, you're going to get pain. And then what your body does is go, oh, do we need to do something about this? So we'll send the anti-inflammation signals, which then causes a bit of swelling around the area, just like if you sprained your ankle, you get this swelling. So it feels like your milk you got too much milk in there, but actually you can have a blockage with lots of swelling on top. And then it might get a bit red, and then you might start to feel pretty rubbish, just like, when your body's fighting off an inflammation. So it might not be an infection where something's, a bacteria is causing infection, but it's just that your body's recognizing this as an area of inflammation. So what you do, we used to teach heat, get in a shower, have a shower and massage, see if you can move the milk that way. And now what we know is that actually, you picture how small those tiny vines are. They're like veins, and on top of them is this big thick layer like that of skin. So if we're pushing on it, we're not going to be able to move any milk But what we are going to do is cause a lot of pain and maybe even some more swelling and bruising from pushing on the area that's a bit swollen. So what we want to do is, just like when we roll our ankle, we want to feed the baby just normally. Don't try and do too much extra feeding on that side, but try to feed the baby quite regularly off there. And you want to put ice on it, just like your ankle. So a nice ice pack for 10 minutes, take a break. Ice pack for 10 minutes, take a break. And you want to do that regularly to try and reduce the swelling. Feed that baby often. And if you feel like you need a little bit more relief, then using your hand to try and do a bit of hand expressing. You can pump, but remember the pump's like a suction cap. So if you're swollen, the pump may not be able to move the milk and it might just draw more fluid to the surface. So ice, 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off. Take your paracetamol, take your ibuprofen, and feed regularly. And try and don't press hard and massage on it. Massage your neck and shoulders, just gentle compressions on your breast.
Beautiful. And we've got about 5 minutes left in our kōrero this afternoon. So I want to really balance out the discussion with formula feeding. So, a massive mindset in the community is fed is best. So I really want to touch on that, nod to our whānau who are formula feeding. So can you just provide some words of wisdom when it comes to the formula feeding journey?
Yeah. So, like I said, breastfeeding's hard and sometimes things happen and we go to mixed feeding or to wean off into formula feeding. So part of my job is about educating mums on, sorry, I've just got a bit of a dry throat. Just let me.
Yeah. You have a drink. While you're having a drink, I'm just going to mihi to Emmeline again, who has commented, "This is my third feeding journey and best so far." Yes! Engorgement disappeared quickly. Cracks healed fast. Much more enjoyable this time around. I think my boys were lazy latches, but their little sister is doing much better. No, sorry, this is from. Oh yes, no, this is from Emmeline.
What a
That
Emmeline.
is awesome.
That is awesome. Well done. Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Yeah. So part of my job is teaching mums about formula use and how to use it safely alongside breastfeeding to help them continue giving their baby as much breast milk as they can, or helping them go from a breastfeeding journey to a formula journey. So formula in our country is we have very high standards in terms of food safety. So every single formula on the market has to reach a really high standard. So whenever mums say, which formula should I choose? Which one's the best? I say, get the one that's the most accessible and the cheapest, because there's nothing worse than having a special formula, going to the supermarket and it's out of stock, which happens a little bit these days. So they all have to meet high standards. They have scientists, dietitians that work on their team, each formula company. And so they do research around the world on what other formula companies do. And so that might mean they change or add ingredients, and then they put labels like colic and constipation and all of those kinds of things. So that's where that kind of comes in. But actually every single formula has to meet a very high standard. So picking one that you can access. And the next one is when you're complementing breastfeeding with formula feeding, it's really important to use the bottle like a breast. So pacing the feed out a little bit so that you're not, because on a breast, you have to suck and you have to tap and you have to cry for the milk to come. Then it comes, and then it only comes when you suck, and then it stops when you take a break, and then it comes when you suck, and then it stops when you take a break. But traditionally, we see bottle-fed babies that just drink. They don't have to do anything to get it to come.
Yeah.
So, just by pacing it out and treating it like a breast, then they will often not drink the whole amount, which will mean that they will then take more from you. They're more likely to go back to the breast, more likely to do the two equally. And then, weaning off, it really is dependent on the age of your baby. But the rules is just slow and in your own time. But yeah, that is a part of my role as well, to kōrero about complementary feeding.
Yeah, I had a question about, what sort of things should our whānau think about when starting the formula feeding journey? But we've just had a question come in from Hayley, which I'm going to bust out real quick. How does the breastfeeding journey normally end? Does the milk dry up on its own, or do you need to wean baby off? Excellent question. I'm interested to know this myself.
Great question. Yeah, I love that question. Well done. Kia ora, Hayley. So it's really independent. I mean, mum say, how long should I breastfeed for? And I say, that's your journey. That's up to you. The Ministry of Health recommends exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months and up to 2 years and beyond. And that's a World Health Organization recommendation. But for every mama and baba, their breastfeeding journey is different. Sometimes it comes to an end because the baby naturally stops wanting to feed. Sometimes it comes to an end because mum wants it to stop or has to go back to work. And sometimes it takes a really long time to come to an end. I always throw this in there, but actually as humans, we're biologically, meant to wean at around 7 years. So we tend to be a lot younger than that, but it just goes to show everybody's journey is their own, and either mum and baby will figure out that it's time for them to stop, and mum will start to make that decision and help the baby stop. And other times it's just a natural process, but yeah.
So it can be, just for understanding, it can be a case of weaning baby off and then the body simply decreases production, or it can just be cold turkey, stop it, and the body decreases production. It's not a matter of how we wean the baby off or just go cold turkey. It's just the fact that the body listens to those cues and demand and sort of decreases supply from there.
Oh, yeah. So it's that supply and demand that we hear about. So it's a chemical response when our baby latches on. It sends a message to the brain, send the milk. And then as milk comes off, there's a hormone in your blood that increases, right? And it's increasing in order to replace that milk again. So that's why it just keeps going, because the milk comes off, the hormone goes up, and then the body replaces that milk that was lost. So when we're going for a natural weaning, when baby starts eating food, they are naturally going to the breast less often. So your body naturally responds because that milk, there's less volume going off, less hormone release. With weaning, cold turkey for a young baby can be very hard because you're going to get really engorged. But just a gradual weaning, maybe like one feed at a time over a couple of days. You're stopping, you're telling your body, okay, I'm only needing 500 mils today. I'm only needing 400 mils today. And your body will respond. So it's about when there's no stimulation, then that chemical reaction is not occurring. And then you'll start to slowly make it smell.
Yeah. Excellent. All right, we will start wrapping up our excellent talk. We could talk all day, I think. We're vibing.
We could.
And before I do my last words, do you have any last words for our community there, my love?
So come and visit me. This is my office at home. There's no one here. No one listens in. No one can hear you. It's confidential. I don't record anything. I have boobs, I have bottles, I have syringes, and I have babies. And any questions, any time of day, come and see me.
Fantastic. So just a reminder, everyone, first things first, I just want to mihi to Big Latch-On Aotearoa. Thank you, team, for supporting us and sharing our live. I saw all over your pages over the last few days that you were plugging our lives. So thank you so much, and thank you so much for all the work that you do celebrating breastfeeding across Aotearoa. For those of you out there, I do want to remind you all that not only is Plunket line, our Plunket nurses, available to you 24/7 via Plunket line 0800 933 922, but we also have our lactation consultant service that can be done over the phone or via Zoom, of which Tracey is one of the staff members. And once again, congratulations to your team, to your amazing department for the extra funding you've got so that we can spread that service further and more wide, and we can get to see people in a more efficient manner as well, which is always good. So just that number again for our Plunket line and our virtual lactation consultant service is 0800 933 922, and that service is open to anyone in Aotearoa, not just those who are registered with a Plunket nurse as the Well Child Tamariki Order provider. Tracey, thank you so much for coming along, having this wonderful chat about all things breastfeeding and also formula feeding. Yeah, we really appreciate your time, and we hope you have a good rest of your day and a good weekend time soon. Yes. All right, everybody, thank you so much, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.